I see. There it is, live. This
There it
little
is.
red light in the corner. It says "You are live" with an exclamation point. Hello and welcome. It's Sunday night. We're feeling all right. It's another installment of, I don't even know what else to call this other than Klooby Snack time. It's
Yeah.
like it, and you know, there's a risk about, well, like, what day of the week do you want to do your weekly reading? Well, first and foremost, it's got to be a day and a time where you're available, Abigail. I'm Jeff Klubeck. This is my daughter Abby. So far, we're joined by Patty Blakesley, the inner business coach, and we're coming to you to read a Klooby Snack, one per week. This happens to be the 6th year in a row that I'm doing a tip reading every single week from one of my books. And just briefly, I'll tell you that the first one was, expanding self in business, and then we did the entrepreneur edition, then we did the coaches edition, and last year we did Get a Clue in 52 for speakers. So this is a Get a Clue in 52 book, but it's different. And it's different because we wanted to put Klooby Snacks at the top. We're really trying to institutionalize Klooby Snacks. And I was going to do that all along. But then when I asked my daughter for help, can you help me get it down to 52? This project took a different direction. So it is my pleasure. It is my pleasure to welcome my daughter, Abigail, to the live stream. And here we go. There's your thing. Hi, Abby. How are you? What kind of a week
I'm great.
Yeah?
I've had a great week, actually. Thanks for asking. How about you, Dad?
Yeah, it's, one week leads to the next, but, last week was our first tip reading. Like, we've got this party started, some genies you can't put back in the bottle. Some things once they're in motion, they stay in motion. So this is Klooby Snack number 2. And we're still in January. It's early in the year. So there's sense of like renewal or a fresh start. People are talking about resolutions. I did a lot of networking last week, and I heard a lot of people talk about their, personal, professional resolutions for the year, etc. And, I ended up talking about Klooby Snacks a lot in public this week. It started with our live stream last week, but then I went to 3 different networking groups where I was talking about Klooby Snacks, telling the story. I would ask somebody, pick a number between 1 and 52, and they would pick, and I would read a Klooby Snack out loud and say, if you want to hear what my daughter has to say about this, go to Amazon and get your copy for $20.25. Anyway, I can't wait for our authors' copies to come in the mail so that we have a lot of books to sign and send out to people. We have a lot of people
I still have the proof.
Yeah, the proof copy. Yeah, so it's still early.
I don't even have a real one.
Yeah, it's like, it's interesting. It's like it's early in this game because we've got tonight and 50 other weeks to go. We're going to be doing this all year long, but it's been a journey, hasn't it? We started working on this since October, and we have a lot of people to thank. So what I'd like to do is start this ticker, if you will. We Patty McKenna, our editor, Sean O'Connor, our graphic designer, Stella, our interior designer, Marianne, who's like, we have to thank her for so many things, including the forward, which includes the Klooby Snack recipe, the marketers on board, Vicky, Rakesh, Leslie, Kate and Hawk, and others, and then advanced praise. So the ticker tape of people that we have to thank that provided advanced praise for the book. Patty, you are here with us right now, and you kind of represent all of them, right? And one of the things that Abigail and I were talking about before we started live streaming was, do we want to read some advanced praise? Like last week, I had so many things to do, and we didn't read any advanced praise word for word. And I definitely didn't read the introduction word for word. It's the worst part of the book. Just read more of Abby, less of me. All right. Hello, Charlie. We're going to say hello to Charlie, who's coming on board. And
hello, everybody. Morning.
All right. So we're still introducing and setting the scene. We're moving towards reading Klooby Snack number 2. But what Abigail and I thought about was we added it up. Look across the bottom of the screen. There's like 17 people that wrote advanced praise for the book that made it into the book. Some didn't even make it in. My apologies to those people. We don't need to name names, but we had due dates and we had to cut it off at some point. So it's like an embarrassment of riches how much feedback and how much advanced praise we got on this book, and then 18, including Jim Rastusha with the back cover. So Abigail and I were doing a little bit of math, and however the math works out, 52 weeks, like every third week, if we focus on one person's piece of advanced praise over the course of the year, we can have some video here and some recording where we actually read word for word. Abigail, is that right? Am I getting this right?
Yes.
All right. So, Charlie, you're joining us a couple minutes late. Patty, I don't know if you're in a position, if you got your copy yet. Charlie, you're in South Africa. It's going to take a while for copies to arrive at your place. But, Patty, either this week or next week, I'm going to invite you first, either tonight or next week, if you want to read word for word what you had written as advanced praise. We can screen share. We could go to it and we can see it right there because I can bring up the PDF copy. And as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do that real quick. And Charlie, I think there's a little bit of background noise coming from you, so I'm just going to mute you until you're ready to speak and just wave your hand, okay? All right. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And let's get to this window right here. And just to let everybody know what I'm talking about. So the embarrassment of riches is there, Patty, there you are. And we mentioned this last week. We put you in the lead position and we talked about why last week. But we've got 17 people took the time to screen the book in advance. And there's yours, Charlie. We're going to give you an opportunity to read your piece of advanced praise as well. I've got a video team that can cut that up and send you the video if you'd like it, right? And we're just, I just think it's important to shine a light on all the effort that people put into making, I'm proud of my work. I'm proud of Abigail's work, but wow, I don't think we'd be here without the time it takes to have a tribe that in the time they take to support you and believe in you. So that's what we're talking about there. And there's other things that we're proud of, the interior design, the menu, I don't know if we want to read dedications even, Abigail. This is kind of interesting. I mean, maybe that's something that we could do, but I'll stop sharing briefly. I think that ultimately we want to have every word of this book read, at some point over the course of the year.
Besides the introduction.
Yeah. So let's set it up that way. For next week, we'll decide you would read a piece of your dedication or I'll read a piece of mine. And then Patty, if you're going to join us next week, you can read, and then we'll just start to make sure that we do that to get warmed up and allow other people to join in before we actually read, because it's just awkward for me, truth be told. And let me, by the way, I'm Jeff Klubeck. I do some lecturing at San Diego State in addition to founding and running this thing called Integrity Game After Get a Clue Inc. And so it's just interesting for me that these weekly tip readings, I had to do so much, and I feel like I read like one motivational quote and sit back. It feels, and maybe I won't feel this way as the year goes along. I've told you, Abigail, I want you to be leading more of this, right? Because ultimately, but I just I'm wearing it on my sleeve. I think I'm supposed to do more. I'm less is more. I'm not supposed to necessarily do more, but I'm just wrestling with the feeling, right? Yeah. So like I said, Patty is with us. Charlie is with us. Patty is the inner business coach, and Charlie is the global connector, right? And let's go ahead and get into the snack. What do you think, Abigail? Are you ready to go ahead and get into it?
She's here.
You're ready to go. All right. Mm-hmm. So as a point of review, last week, and we're in the section loving flavored. So the way that Klooby Snacks are divided, there's 4 categories, end up being baker's dozens to stick with the bakery theme, in the baking and the cookie theme, baker's dozens. And so all of these are they're about love on some level. And what a huge topic. 13 snacks isn't enough when we're talking about love, but it's a good start. So last week, the very first snack, Klooby snack of the book, was when you have to keep it all together, love is the best adhesive. We had a great conversation about that, and that leads us to tonight, Klooby snack number 2. Abby, you ready to rock and roll? I say we just get right into it.
Yeah, I am.
All right, so here's drum roll, please, my huge part. It's so funny. It's like one sentence. It's so awkward, but here we go.
Great.
Klooby snack number 2. I will always love you more than I will ever miss you. And then Abigail's journal style response. Go ahead.
There we go. Except it's a little outdated, but we'll get to that later. Okay. My dad and I talk a lot about college and how in only a few months, I'll, fingers crossed, be studying in New York City all the way across the country. We have sentimental conversations about me growing up, all ending with my dad saying that he'll always love me more than he'll ever miss me. He said the same Klooby snack to me in many previous contexts, but I never fully understood what it meant. I miss everyone I love, and sometimes I miss them more than I love them. Sitting down at the dinner table, scrolling through all 52 Klooby snacks, I decided to finally ask my dad what this meant, or what he meant when he said it. He shared stories of people who were once his best friends, yet are no longer in his life. Though their friendships were fruitful, they got to a point where ending said friendship made more sense than continuing them. Rather than missing these people, wishing they were still in his life, and pondering all possible what-ifs, he chooses to appreciate them for what they were and not what was lost. I'm currently at the end of my 4 years in high school, and throughout those years, I've had many friendships and relationships come and go. Some girls that I've been friends with since kindergarten I now pass in the halls without saying a word. High school is weird. I used to be sad about losing said friendships, and I'd find myself in a spiral, wondering what I could have done better or what the friendship could still be. I find myself missing these people so much that it consumes a little corner of my mind. My dad explained to me that although certain people aren't in his life anymore, he chooses to love them rather than to miss them. Through him, I've learned to appreciate things for what they were and to put less energy into those what ifs and could have beens. In a few months, I'll be moved out. I'll be once again, fingers crossed, in a different time zone, 2 plane flights and a layover away. My seat at the dinner table will be vacant during our Sunday night family dinners, and FaceTime will become my family's best friend. I know that's worded quite dramatically, but the reality truly is sad. When I talk to my dad about my excitement to leave home, he doesn't tell me that he doesn't want me to leave or that he wishes I'd go to school closer. He's always been beyond supportive, encouraging me to go far, literally and figuratively. We drove hours and hours around the Northeast coast looking at different schools I was interested in. Through all the ways he supported me, my dad has taught me what it means to love someone more than you'll miss them.
All right. Wow. Okay. So here it is. I think I was too excited last week, but this week, here it comes, the waterworks. Yeah, we got to open up this conversation now. I'm going to unmute and let's just see. Let's honor our guests. Patty and Charlie, you're taking the time to be here today. Before I start talking, and I have some things to say about today's Klooby Snack, but first of all, I can't read it out. I can't read that thing out loud and not cry. And then just hearing her read it, like the Sunday night dinner table and FaceTime is my family's favorite thing.
And you've heard it multiple times. You've heard me read that so many times.
Still can't hold back the floodgates of emotion that come over me. But Patty and Charlie, ladies first, of course. Patty, what do you got? What are your thoughts first about the snack? You might have heard me say it before. Now you hear Abigail's response and her writing about the snack. What comes to mind for you, Patty, on I will always love you more than I will ever miss you?
Well, it's one of your Klooby Snacks that I share with people often. Because people that I talk with sometimes, talk about the fact that their friendships have ended or they're people that they're no longer close to. And one of the reasons I love this Klooby Snack is because it's very positive. Instead of focusing on the missing part, focusing on the loving part. And I was thinking as you were reading it, Abby, you're going to move away and your dad will love you. And he's been a very loving father, as he's demonstrated and you've shown in the book. But I was thinking about people that, pass over and transition. And I have some friends that focus so much more on the missing instead of on the memories. And that's what came up for me tonight. It was kind of sad, actually, but it was also positive, that I never thought of it in terms of people passing away before.
Yeah. And just a brief comment, and then we'll see, what else is happening here in response to Klooby Snacks. But when I originally created it, and I want you guys to understand, I created this quote before I was even calling my motivational quotes Klooby Snacks. I came up with this, I want to say the year was 2004. I remember when I came up with this Klooby Snack, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But it was before I was a coach. It was before I was into personal professional growth. I was a younger person and starting to get into a very interesting phase of life with more and more responsibility. Had a lot of friends that may not have been in the same phase, and I'll get into that in a minute. But just to your point, Patty, I wasn't thinking about death, or passing or loss. Right. I wasn't thinking about that when I created the snack. And as a matter of fact, I'll do a little seed plant here or a tease, and we'll come back to it a little bit after I honor Charlie with the microphone. But I wasn't thinking positive either, to be quite honest, which will come about, right? I was thinking about, anyway, I'm going to elaborate on that in a second. Charlie, how are you, my friend? Thank you for being here. What say you about either the snack itself or Abigail's response to the snack? Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, rather good morning from South Africa. It's 6 a.m. this and I actually had to jump out of bed when my alarm went off. First, firstly, our thoughts to the Florida wildfires and people out here.
Well, the Florida gets hurricanes, LA gets fires, right? So it's, yeah. You get a pass, Charlie. If you're not from America, you don't really need to know our countries. Nobody here really knows anything about our country anyway. It's all good.
Well, the Klooby Snack for today, Patty has actually alluded on a lot of that was in my mind reading it as well. But another element of it to add to that, as parents, when our kids are ready to leave the nest, whether it be college, work, marriage, etc., and they're away from you, you actually miss them a lot. But then, as Petty has alluded as well, those memories that you have shared with them, and especially the people who have passed on. But when it comes to friendships and friends, you always seem to cherish more the good times, and then you embrace those good times rather than that they are not there. So, like integrating them. Like, again, as the Klooby Snacks goes, there's so many underlying messages in it that it depends on how you are reading it and what you are saying.
Yeah, I love that you say that, because it's like kind of like Klooby Snacks are like motivational horoscope. Like the horoscope effect, like, oh my God, like you ever, like, it's funny when the song lyrics, like the song comes out and I can't believe they wrote this song just for me. How did they know this? My favorite band knows exactly what's going on. Abigail, you know what I'm talking about? You ever read song lyrics? So why not Klooby Snacks? Why can't Klooby Snacks be that thing that helps people feel as if we know what they're going through, right? Why not? And if that's what you're communicating, Charlie, that when the Klooby Snack comes, I have an intention, but I let go, and that's one of the things that we really get to highlight here. Like, first through Abigail stepping up, leaders go first, and we want to groom that leadership. And it's so incredible to see all of this stuff through your eyes, Abigail. But we now, as co-authors, right, we want to bond and join together and stand firm in like the responsibility of supporting other people's interpretations. And what can Klooby Snacks be? Abigail, let me bring it back to you. You've heard a little bit from Patty. You've heard a little bit from Charlie. You know what you've written, right? And then you mentioned before you read your word for word that time has passed since you wrote it. So let me bring you back to the forefront here. Talk about either, do you see the snack differently? Do you see what you wrote differently? Do you want to update us on anything that's happened since? Yeah, go ahead.
When I wrote said Klooby, that was one of the first Klooby Snacks I had written, and I was sitting in my newspaper class, and I didn't have any articles to write, and I was writing this. And at the time, I had just finished applying to colleges, I just applied to Fordham, which is my dream school. That's where I really, really, really wanted to go. And I was just kind of feeling all of the emotions of just applied to college, and it was out of my hands, and it's like everything I had done has worked up to this one application and all this stuff, and I was kind of just really feeling that, and then kind of turned it into what does this mean for my family, and how my dad is he is very, very, very emotional, and we've talked big shocker, but we've talked a lot about the separation, all the stuff that he's already feeling. I'm leaving it's 8 months, so much time, but he's still feeling all of it now as if I'm already gone. But at the same time, thinking about that, it's never been a selfish, I miss you, or why can't you stay closer? Because I have other friends who they can't go to school far because their parents don't want them to. And I'm my parents have never been like that. It's my dad's oh, I'm going to miss seeing you around the house. I'm going to miss this and that. But it was never oh, I wish you weren't going. It's always been support, and I'm going to miss you when you're gone, but never I'm going to miss you, so don't go. Which is kind of what I was mainly thinking about when writing that. But now, months later, I'm admitted and committed to Fordham. So I'm going to be in New York. So now it's like, it's a definite, I'm going to be gone. And still with that change, he's still, I'm going to miss you, but I can't, I'm so excited for you, rather than the, oh, like, are you sure do you want to go closer? Yada, yada, which has been really nice. Cause I know other parents are not like that with their kids. So I'm just very lucky to have this mindset within my family rather than the,
wow, right? I was looking for your like cerebral interpretation, but on the emotional side, that's one of the things. Back to you, Charlie. There's so many layers and layers of possible interpretation for each snack, but then there's layers and layers and layers of value for me, or maybe anybody. Hopefully, anybody that's watching that, like what you just heard right there, was Abigail saying, "Wow, I'm really grateful. I really appreciate you, Dad." And then she's able to say those things through this book that, you know, I don't know if I'm overstepping, Abigail, but like she would never, in real-time conversations, in the real-time situations, would never just say, Dad, thank you for this. Dad, you know what? I really appreciate this about you. You know what, Dad? I'm very lucky to have a dad like you. You know what, Dad? You're very emotional, and I appreciate that because I can't imagine not knowing how my dad feels. Or like, I never get those compliments or that validation or that recognition. So I'm been swimming in a sea of, is this working? Am I doing, you know, right? And then, so that's just one example, and there's like hundreds in here of how Abigail has really helped me. Go ahead. There's a little bit of feedback. I'm going to mute you, Charlie. Go ahead, Abby.
What I was going to say is, adding on to that, a lot of it wasn't like I would notice something and then make a choice to not point it out to you or thank you or acknowledge it. It was more of like things that I was so used to that I didn't really stop and think about until the book. Like, it wasn't until the book where I was like I'd always known that my friends had parents that were like, didn't want them to go far for like kind of selfish reasons. And I'd always known that, and acknowledged that. And I knew that you weren't like that, but I never really sat and thought about it. And many other things that are like that I wrote in this book, I never sat and like thought about it until the book. So then like sitting, and then when I'm writing, I'm like sitting and thinking, I'm like, wow. And then I have like a oh moment. And then I'm writing about it, because it's like these Klooby Snacks are what like spark this thinking. Because without that, like it kind of, these traits that you have and these qualities of our relationship and our family dynamic, all this stuff, like I never really stop and like think on them until I was like writing this. And I would be like stuck, and I'm like, what do I even say? Then I'm like, oh my, like, wow, I have all this stuff to say, but it's a Klooby Snack that bring these out. You know what I mean?
You know, and it's interesting because it's not original quote of mine, but what it brings up for me right now is the following saying. We always realize the value of water when the well is empty. Right. And so what a blessing for me that I don't have to wait until you're gone to realize some of the things that you've been able to realize and share in this book before you go. It's an incredible gift. Not only just, I would be happy just with the realization if it came before you went, but what a gift to myself and your mother, right? To us. And, you know, as a married unit, and we have conversations about our marriage and our parenting. Parenting is a huge part of our marriage, right? And so it's a gift to the whole family, really, being able to realize what you might have otherwise taken for granted. You know, I remember I had breakdown moments when I was at college, looking back, and even now today, oh my God, even today, back to what you brought up, Patty, when you're talking about loss, right? And you all know I lost my parents 3 weeks apart a couple years back, and even look, it's like, ooh. You don't want to, you hope they're still around. You hope that you still have the chance to communicate. You hope you still have the chance to share when you're realizing how special things are. So you don't want to wait till the well is empty to realize the value of water. But I didn't write that one. So that it did make it into the book. And then the other thing that I do want to do, the other thing I want to get to that came to mind is that I think there's a little opportunity here for me to actually read a little snippet of the introduction, not the whole thing, but
thank you.
But the piece of the introduction that I thought I would bring up real quick is just this one right here. Can you guys see?
Nope.
And let me just see if I can switch the layout so that it comes into. Oh, am I sharing?
Nope.
Or no. Let me try that again then.
I thought you knew.
Okay, how about now? Yeah.
There you go.
Let me just see what it looks like. Okay, very cool. There it is. So you guys can read with me. This is what I wanted to share. As of this writing, Abby is a rising senior in high school. As you'll learn in these pages, she's getting ready to leave for college, and she is leaving for college. As I write this introduction, which was way back in October, right? We are still waiting on acceptance letters in the application process, but we already know the closest she will be to home. San Diego is Arizona, and that may not. You could have gone to Long Beach, I guess, but at that point, you had gotten into Arizona State and you had gotten into University of Arizona. We didn't know, like literally, we didn't know if you were, a Cal State or a university level. We didn't know, right? It's very competitive, but anyway. And most likely she'll be 3 time zones away of the target: Syracuse, Fordham, Ole Miss, UMass, Rhode Island. I am predicting Fordham in New York City, right at Lincoln Center, right in the middle of Manhattan, in the greatest city in the world. Anything else would be a little boring for her, right? She's multitasking and always getting it done. How's that pasta, by the way, Abigail?
Really good. Mom made it.
Well, if Mom made it, it's absolutely delicious. Delicious.
Course.
All right. So I see some comments coming in here. Let me just take a look. I just now noticed. Let me stop sharing and see if I need to address. Jennifer's out there. Hey, Jennifer. Sue. Hey, what's happening? Sue normally joins us live. Did I mess something up? That's not the right link. Hang on. Let me put the right link in there in case anybody wants to join us. That's what's going on. Hang on. Here we go. That's the one. So the convention, for anybody that's watching out there on social media, the convention will be Klooby Snack 2 for second week of the year. The next week will be 3, and then 4, and then 5. If you ever want to come and join us live in studio. And for those of you that like joining, and you give me your email address, and I'll put you in the Google Calendar invite, and so that you'll get the email reminder, every single week. But let me go ahead and open up and see, are there any other I'll unmute you for a sec, Charlie, in case you have anything else to add here. There's one other thing that I want to say, and it's kind of like, I might get emotional about it. Like, I want to go back to the original mindset on authoring the Klooby Snack, and the idea of loss when somebody dies versus when a friendship can't hang together anymore, when an acquaintanceship can't hang together, or then maybe a job, right? Like I remember when a couple of years ago, my wife got caught in a little layoff, a downsizing, and it's like that. That could turn someone, anyway, loss of career, loss of job, loss of coworkers, loss of friendships, etc. But we'll start to move into my last comments. But I want to hear, is there anything else that's coming to mind from you guys about tonight's Klooby Snack?
Well, what occurred to me, and it sort of play off what Charlie said about, your perception changes depending. But I was thinking about, as Abby was speaking and you were reflecting on that, Coach Jeff, the power of reflection and how that is so powerful. And that's what's really cool about the Klooby Snack, because you can read it one day and then you can reflect on it, and it has another layer of meaning. So I just wanted to emphasize the power of reflection.
Yeah, and that's a good movie that you'll watch several times, right? And a good book that you'll read, and the river, the mind, the river keeps flowing. You can never step in the same river twice.
Right.
Yeah. Really, really cool. What else? Anybody else have some comments? Like, I guess I'll just make this last point. And Abigail alluded to it. What?
Never mind.
Go ahead. Go. Oh, Charlie, go ahead.
Yeah.
Even reading these Klooby Snacks from my lists, I actually go through them when I have something in mind, and I go and read it, because I've also tried to categorize them. Every time there's a different meaning, and please take note what's written down here. It's what's come up. While I was reading
it's wonderful.
the book, reading the next ones.
Oh, it's so good.
That Klooby Snack just popped out in front of me. Is the display of, as I said last week, Abby's use with words stem from somewhere. So she is this little pebble. She's this little pebble that is rolling. That's the same as the mountain she comes from.
Yeah, and that's amazing too, because I'll just tell you, like, this is again, I wasn't thinking about offspring, on a human biological level. I was talking about our spirituality, our divinity, like the divinity that lives within each and every one of us, and how all of us are made up of the, God. If humans are made in God's image, then you were just as divine. You follow? Like, that's what I was trying to get us to look within and own our divine responsibilities, our spiritual responsibilities. That's where that came from. But you can see the relationship between that and parenting, of course. But Charlie, it's an honor that to see how, like, Abigail, I don't know about you, but isn't that cute to see that little Klooby Snack in the corner?
I know. I because like the banner was covering it before, so I didn't see it, and then I just saw it. Like, and before you pointed it out, I was like, "Oh, that's so." I like that, and I thought I was thinking of a completely different meaning. But one thing I like about the Klooby Snacks is how they're so interpretive. Even like when I'm reading, because some of these Klooby Snacks I wrote way before the other ones, and I would go back and I'm like, would be reading them to mom or reading them to whoever. I'm like, wow, that's not what I would write now. Like that, if I was writing about this Klooby Snack to set today, I would say something completely different than I did like 2 weeks ago. And how like with your experiences, they change meaning a little bit. But I like how they're interpretive and adaptive to multiple scenarios and situations and analogies and whatnot. Which we saw a lot when we were writing the book, because I'd write about something and I'd read it to you and you're like, that is not at all what I was thinking about. And I'm like, well, it's the right answer. Like, I don't know. But you would write something and you're like, that's not at all what I was thinking. And I'm like, it's cool.
That's one of the beautiful lessons that I've learned, right? And even if I was already logically aware of it, right? It's like the artist or the author or the writer or the musician or we only have control of it up until the point that we make it available to others. And then we have to, and it's going to be a Klooby Snack later on, but maybe there's another layer of meaning for us to discuss. But just to preview, surrender is not the same thing as defeat. And that was, I know this. But I had to live it. I had to practice it. I had an idea in mind about how this was going to go, and I surrendered my idea. I let go of my autobiographical, stubborn, ego, control freak stuff. Yep. Right. And just made room for whatever your ideas were, whatever your vision was. And now I'm not threatened by it or off put by it or afraid of losing the control. I'm enamored with watching where this goes. And as we talked about last week, it's a lot better than it would have been if it was just me. We know that.
I know.
And so, but here's the deal. Like when I just want to say, you guys, when I created this Klooby Snack, thank God, really, I was going nuts. There was, a mutual, a friend in a mutual friends group, and I was getting into real estate. We had, we had a condominium, and we got another house, and we had 3 properties at the time before the market crashed, and we had to get rid of 2, blah blah blah. But this guy, this friend in our circle, and he wasn't like my core. Like there's this, there was 2 of these guys that were core friends of mine for a very long time. And then this other dude, right? That we became good friends, the 4 of us, but the history, the longevity, the brotherhood, the depths of friendship were not in this one dude. So he says, hey, Jeff, well, I want to buy your condo from you, right? And I said, hey, come on, we're friends. I said, hey, well, if you want an opportunity to become a homeowner and you don't think you could do it conventionally, we could do a rent-to-own situation, but blah, 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 right? But, you need to talk to a lawyer on your side and a real estate agent on your side. And, anyway, and I said, this is serious. This is property. I'm going to sell this on the open market and get market value for this. And if you want me to put that on hold in order to be a friend and a bro and help you become a homeowner, that's at great risk to me and my wife and the family that we're trying to build. Oh, yeah. And I said, no, this is serious. You follow? And sure enough, there's an earnest deposit down, and down the road, he wants to back out of the deal. And I'm, let's talk to your real estate agent, or let's talk to your lawyer and unravel that. No. And he tried to play it out in the court of public opinion. So now my core friends, why are you trying to steal from so-and-so? And I'm like, what are you talking about? So like, there was a very hurtful situation that the person who I was like, I'm trying to be responsible. I'm trying to build my family. I put that, like, what a mistake, right? Putting a sale of a property where I could have made $100,000 or whatever it was at the time, putting that on hold to be a bro to a bro, but trying to, it was major mistake on my part, but I held firm. It's like, no. Whatever's going on in your world as to why you want to cancel after you sign the contract and the legalities are here, I'm sympathetic to that, but I'm not more sympathetic to your family or whatever your excuse you're telling me, to my own family's number one, and that's the deal. And so if you want to figure this out, and he wouldn't talk to real estate agents, he wouldn't talk to lawyers because he knew he was in the wrong. What he decided to do is play the toxic game in the court of friendship. And now I realized that I couldn't stop it. I didn't have enough time in my life to, chase the drama trail and have the conversation. Hey, have you talked to so-and-so? It's just, hey, I'm only talking about this with a real estate professional or an attorney. And I had to get ready to lose my friends. I had to be like, well, I'll always love you more than I'll ever miss you. And so it was out of hurt. It was out of betrayal. It was out of all this mixture of emotions. And I wasn't mature. I hadn't been in my own personal professional growth journey yet. So I didn't have the frameworks for coping and communication that I have now. And I was terribly saddened and completely preoccupied with it and frustrated and angry. And, Patty, you say like, oh, this Klooby Snack is so positive. Well, not when I wrote it. Right. When I wrote it, I was focusing on the miss you part. Like, I will always love you more than I will ever miss you. That's how it sounded in my, do you hear how different that is? And this is going to be a Klooby Snack down the road. Like, how you're saying what you're saying is in fact what you're really saying. Right. So the positive side is, I will always love you more than I will ever miss you. But when I when I came up with this, it's like, I will always love you more than I will ever miss you. As if to say, I need to miss you. It's over. Like, sorry guys, if you want to, like it was a bummer, right? Because like the friends were caught in the middle, and it wasn't fair to them, and I had to like surrender. It's like, hey, if you need this other dude in your life more than you want to give me the benefit of the doubt for the friend I've been all my life, then I only have one choice left, is to always love you more than I'll ever miss you. That's the only thing that's going to help me here. But in one case, I'm definitely missing you. And then I started my own healing on the ones that I really didn't want to miss, but I knew if I had to miss them, if that's the way this was going to fly, that I would just always focus on loving them more. And sure enough, there was a great number of years in between speaking to those two core friends. And then, my favorite among them found the courage to come back into my life, and we've been solid ever since. And you don't forget these things, but forgiveness and love and the willingness to be vulnerable. And, the other one came back into my life too, but more at arm's length, because I think he was involved in all of this stuff, etc. So you keep your distance a little bit, you protect yourself. But yeah, just to bring that comment to perspective, thank God for time and maturity and growth and healing, because as a coach, when I support people in their stories, whether it's divorce, whether it's career loss, whether it's the passing of a loved one, whether it's any of it, right? We have to focus on the love, right? I don't think I made this up either. The pain is mandatory, but it's the suffering that's optional. Yeah. So I wanted to communicate that. I mean, I'm feeling pretty complete about the conversation that we've had today. This is all therapeutic for me, right? You tell these stories, you try to tell them in a healthy way. And remember, this is a flavor. This is 2 of 13 loving flavored Klooby Snacks. 2 down, 11 to go. But it's time. It's time for last call. Last call for comments, questions, jokes, riddles, haikus, limericks, or expressions of gratitude. Yeah, thank you, Patty. Charlie, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach Jeff, you just mentioned something on friendships.
Yeah.
That you would want to miss them. At that time, it is because it's just as recent. Because now there's that detachment, and you're really not aware of where you're wanting to head to or where you are going to head to. So once you start employing the love part into, okay, he's gone, but I still love you. But which is more? Which way is more? So then the love overrides and overpowers that missing part, and that is where the healing comes in. And then slowly but surely you get over it.
Yeah, there's like for every single Klooby snack. Okay, you want to say bite-sized and delicious, but there's always extra words in my head or extra sentences or subtext or follow-up, right? So let me give you an example. It goes a little something like this. I will always love you more. There's two different ways that this can go afterwards. Number one, I will always love you more than I'll ever miss you, ... And I'm going to miss you a lot. Right? Or that's the positive rate, right? Or the other road is I will always love you more than I will ever miss you. And in fact, missing you is the only way left to love you. Like that's my only chance left at loving you is you got to go or I got to go. So, if we're not leading our peer group or if we're not being led by our peer group, then chances are we need to leave our peer group. If we're not getting better or helping somebody else get better, what the hell are we doing? Life is short. No. Last call. Anybody else on last call? No. Okay. Well, let me. Here's the thing. Let me give you the last word, Patty. Which normally, I don't have to give it to you. Normally, it's just yours, always for the taking. But is there any? You don't have any last words, comments, expressions, jokes?
No, I think it's been an interesting conversation, and I've enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Patty? I meant Abby. I meant when it comes to I did maybe like my daughter always gets the last word. Always has the last word. Although I'll tell you what. No, I'll tell you what. I see differences in the way Abigail and I, micro differences in the way that her and I interact, the conversations that we have, how they go. There's still hints and sense of the old ways, right, which are more adversarial. But without getting too far into it, like 3 or 4 different times just this week alone, I'm noticing some differences in the way the communication goes. And, I only bring that up because last word. Like, I do think that, Abigail, you are more willing to let me have the last word now. You pick your battles more wisely. You'll say the last, you don't get the last word just to get the last word. But if the last word, is important or pertinent or better, right? I don't know. I'm not, what's your thought on that?
No, you're definitely right. But the reasoning, there's sometimes where it's like, you'll say something and I know, like, if I don't respond, that's the end of it. But like I need to respond. But then when I respond, it just keeps on going. And then I'm just like, ugh, I would rather just get back to what I was doing than get the last words. Like, it's not even worth it. Like it's just like, okay, I'll let him have this one. Like, whatever. I could not. If anybody ever said anything that I didn't agree with or like went against what I said or thought or believed, whatever, like I could not just let them walk away from a conversation thinking that they were right. Like I could not do that. Something with us, like the last word thing, I'm like, I cannot let him think he was right because he's not. And then it's just like, it's too tiring. It's like, you know what? I know I'm right, and that's all that I need to sleep at night. So that's how it is.
Well, look at that. What a wonderful way to wrap things up. Let me go ahead and say thank you to Patty. Thank you to Charlie. Thank you to anybody else out there that's following along on social media. You're welcome to join the party, join the conversation next week. Klooby Snack number 3 in this series. I want to take a peek and see what are we.
Oh, yeah, I don't even know which one it is.
Yeah, no, this one actually, Patty, it's so appropriate. I got you, Charlie. It's so appropriate, by the way, Patty, that I'm going to invite you to read your advanced praise word for word next week, because next week's Klooby Snack, as I take an advanced peek at it, like we came up with that together. It was in mentoring or in coaching with you, where that's where you were with me in real time when I came up with this one. So that's kind of cool. So next week we're going to shine more of a spotlight on you, Patty, the inner business coach. But Charlie, what do you got, Charlie?
Oh, the last one I forgot. Happy birthday to Marianne.
Oh yeah, thank you. Wonderful. Yeah, it's Marianne's birthday. It's been a lot of love has come in for Marianne. I did a post on Facebook. A lot of people are sending their love, and it's nice to see Marianne happy and smiling and doing the things that she likes to do. And yeah, I love Marianne, and I'm really grateful when I see the love from my network come in. It's any aspect of my family. So thank you for that, Charlie. I appreciate it. All right. I don't know if there's anything. Hey, look at that, 8:44. How about it, right? Yeah, thanks again for everybody for supporting this Klooby Snack movement. We want to institutionalize Klooby Snacks and send Abigail off to college to go dominate the world with the best head on her shoulders we possibly can. And thanks for all the growth that is provided to me in this process, Abigail. Can't thank you enough for how you're showing up and what's happening in this process. Thank you.
I called it. You're gonna cry tonight. I called it.
I teared up a little bit. Yeah,
I knew it.
I teared up. I didn't have to look for a tissue. I always have them handy. Right? Rule number 17, Charlie. You can never have too many napkins. You know. All right. Thank you guys. My heart is full. My love to you guys. Have a great week, and we'll see everybody next time. All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Have a great week.